The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. Psalm 23, verses 1 and 2. I was never really big into music, but I've been making my Christian playlist.
Oh, nice.
And one of the songs, and I know I'm late to the Brandon Lake party, but Graves into Gardens, the live version has just been fantastic. And like he's singing with someone, and their name is escaping me right now. But just the crowd, and then the little extra things in there, and and you can, I don't know, it's just like you can feel it, like when you're really listening and you're really getting into it. And I think he keeps it going too at the end, just because of the presence there. It's like, no, and we're not done. And then they do the whole thing again. And it's just one of his best songs, like for sure. It's one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, there's a lot of good songs. I think so I've been going through, and I think sometimes you get like your season song, right? You kind of get the songs that you're feeling, or they hit you in the right spot or in the feels, where you just really feel God's presence working. And for me, I've been listening to The Center of Your Love.
Okay.
And it's the live version, same thing. But it's by Jesus Culture and Kim Walker Smith. But it's just such a good song, and it's kind of like the same thing, it's like, it is a very, repetitive song, but it's about getting the worship, and then, in the middle of the song, it's kind of goes off to its own thing, but it's just, it's great when you got that song that really helps you focus your mind and your heart and your soul into, getting into God's presence and really feeling the Holy Spirit move.
Yeah.
Song I really like right now that I kind of go back to a lot. It's a little older song, Ska.
Oh.
By the OC Supertones. So
okay.
Date myself a little bit, but it's called Who Can Be Against Me? And there's a certain aspect at the end of the song that I just love to crank up, like right as I'm pulling into work, or just kind of gets you going. Like it's more of a pump up song, because worship, you got praise, you got things that just kind of pump you up, just like yeah, and so like and the live version is also good as well, because you got the whole crowd chanting it, right? But just the lyrics that they repeat, where it just kind of builds up, and the tempo is like, God, look at me, I'm just a man, but you tell me I'm not just a man. You're so hard to understand. After all, I'm just a man. God, you tell me not to doubt, but I'm always plagued by doubt. And you always help me out. I'm so ashamed.
Wow.
And you're just like, oh, look at that. And you're just like, yeah. And so it's just gets you pumped up.
Those are great lyrics. I mean, lyrics are what makes songs for me personally. I like the poetry of the lyrics. Obviously we want something.
But I'm a huge lyric guy. Even in if I'm listening to other music that isn't Christian music, if there's lyrics that I'm like it will just put me off the entire song. And there's some songs I listen to that I'm like, it's not like the best beat or whatever, but I just love the lyrics so much, like I don't even care.
Because like Brandon Lake, I think, is a good example, because like I don't like country. Like I'm not a country guy, and like he's not all very, very country. So like, don't get me wrong, but like for this song in particular, like you turn Graves into Gardens.
But I don't see that as a country song. Like it doesn't listen like one.
Yeah, no, you're right. But it's the lyrics in that one. I'm like, yes, you're the only one who can.
There are a couple of country songs, because I no offense to anybody, I love everybody,
especially with this target demographic.
I do not like country music at all. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
That's okay.
I can't listen to it.
That's okay.
However, there are a couple of country songs that are like very, it's just a straight up Christian song. It's worship song, but it's definitely country.
Absolutely.
And I love it.
Yeah.
But there's a couple. But as far as just listening to like if you were just listening to like more of a mainstream songs, like I can't do country at all. No offense to anybody, it's just one of the things I can't.
It's just that's how you're wired. Like that's okay. And
sorry.
Yeah.
About to take out your mic.
Yeah, that would have been it. So today's episode, we're going to be doing a little psalm study. We're going to be talking about psalms. Each one of us picked a psalm to discuss, and we shared it with each other. And we're just going to kind of see, we're going to see what we got out of it. There's we brought up lyrics, and the lyrics to a song is what, sort of moves us. And psalm is poetry. It's songs, and it's just so beautiful.
Do you want to know what I found out about looking up why is it called Psalms?
Why is that?
Because the word from Greek origin, psalmoi, so it's like you add an MOI at the end.
Okay.
Which basically translates as songs that use string instruments. And if you look at a lot of the descriptions in all of the Psalms, it says to the chief musician using stringed instruments. And so, because I always wonder, why not just call it songs? I mean, you got Song of Solomon, but why Psalms?
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
I thought it was very...
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong. Psalms are often referenced in worship music, right? Like when you always come across that verse, I know that. I know that from
so many worship
from
music
song,
that references Psalms, or even just parts of the Bible, Revelations, or whatever the case is. It's so often that you hear it and you're like, oh wow, and it makes it.
Even
I feel
better.
like it makes it so much better.
But do you ever
you're using the words, the living word of God, right?
Would you ever hear a song over and over, and then when you start opening the word and then you're reading that psalm, you're like, oh, that's that song I was listening to.
Oh, duh. No wonder they did such a good job. Yeah. It was written in the Bible.
I have a fun fact here.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm correct.
I guess it's not a fun fact. It's a maybe fun fact. Maybe.
I don't have my notes on it, so I'm just trying to put a little asterisk here. Psalm is the most quoted book of Jesus in the Bible.
Huh.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
I'll take your word for that on right now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure. Comments? Make comments. Because we could be right. It could be.
I'm pretty sure that is correct.
Okay. I could see that.
Me too. I think that was one of the things I came across while researching my psalm.
Okay.
And I don't know where my note is on that. So everyone is Googling this right now.
Yeah.
So my psalm is Psalm 77.
He said it wasn't 67.
Oh my gosh, we had to do it.
Stop.
We had to do it.
Please stop.
That's it. Episode's over.
That's for our younger audience.
Yeah.
Because they're going ballistic right now, going, whoa, yeah.
We might have to just
I'm sorry.
see what Psalm 67 is before this is over. But anyway,
yeah. So the first thing that stuck out to me, I have a friend who's going through something, and I was looking for something uplifting to share. And I came to this one, and I've done Shakespeare plays. I love reading Shakespeare. I read Lord of the Rings. I like Beowulf. I like reading the old Greek tragedies, Odyssey, Iliad. It's like I have a pretty good, I'm a pretty good reader. And I read more difficult things, easier than most people. And the first time I read this, I was like, what? And I'm not saying that this psalm is overly complicated, but I texted someone. I was like, "Is this supposed to be uplifting?" And I had to read it a few times before I really got it.
So I just want to quick comment. So I'm going to agree with you when I'm going to say when I read mine, and also read others. There is a lot of kind of it's hard to know. It's almost like when you text somebody and you don't understand the tone, right? Mm-hmm. There's so much in the tones of the Psalms that you almost have to read it a few times to make sure that you know that, is he talking negatively? Is he talking positively? Because it changes so often in Psalms. So don't feel bad. I think that's just kind of the nature of the beauty of the Psalms.
Yeah,
essentially.
And I guess ultimately what I'm getting at is it's okay to have to read it more than one time, no matter where you're at. It takes a little bit to study and understand. We live in the age of information, right? Look it up if you need a little help. Read some of the little cliff notes. That might help you as well. So, without further ado, Psalm 77. This is coming from the NIV version. I cried out to God for help. I cried out to God to hear me. When I was in distress, I sought the Lord. At night I stretched out untiring hands, and I would not be comforted. I remembered you, God, and I groaned. I meditated, and my spirit grew faint. You kept my eyes from closing. I was too troubled to speak. I thought about the former days, the years of long ago. I remembered my songs in the night. My heart meditated, and my spirit asked, will the Lord reject forever? Will he never show his favor again? Has his unfailing love vanished forever? Has his promise failed for all time? Has God forgotten to be merciful? Has he in anger withheld his compassion? Then I thought, to this I will appeal. The years when the Most High stretched out his right hand, I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. I will consider all your works and meditate on all your mighty deeds. Your ways, God, are holy. What God is as great as our God? You are the God who performs miracles. You display your power among the peoples. With your mighty arm you redeemed your people, the descendants of Jacob and Joseph. The waters saw you, God. The waters saw you and writhed. The very depths were convulsed. The clouds poured down water. The heavens resounded with thunder. Your arrows flashed back and forth. Your thunder was heard in the whirlwind. Your lightning lit up the world. The earth trembled and quaked. Your path led through the sea. Your way through the mighty waters. Though your footprints were not seen. You led your people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. So you see I was confused at first?
Yeah. No, because I mean, just like a lot of Psalms, right? It goes into the struggle, right? So that's kind of like where it begins. Like, what is he going through? What is he thinking? And I think the beauty of a lot of the Psalms is to really see other people who you know are godly people who do right in the eyes of the Lord, them also struggle with the same things that we struggle with, right?
Like God, did you abandon me?
Like,
do you
where
not
is
hear
it?
me?
Did I do something wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like I can't hear you. I feel like I don't know what's going on. Did I do something that he's just not going to forgive? He's not going to forgive me for, or, you start playing yourself, right? You start getting these doubts in your mind, and then it switches to, I need to remember your deeds, not only through the Old Testament, or the New Testament, but also through my life. All the things that you've done in my life. It's so important to remiss and remember that what God has done in your life.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's even referencing Moses parting the sea here, right? And in the song I mentioned when we opened this, one of the lyrics is, "You turn seas into highways." It goes on to say, "You're the only one who can do these things."
What I think is what's great about this is it's showing the whole process. So a lot of times, like he was saying, like, you have these great people, like David was a king, right? He could have just had that last half of the psalm where it's just talking about, you do this, great God, praise God, like just have the praise part, but he's basically writing down his entire inner monologue. So the whole process from the beginning of, I have this doubt. I don't know. Where are you? I feel like I'm all alone in this. But wait a minute. I know that's not true. I know you're there because you did this, and this. And so it's
the
just
poetry of our humanity.
It's showing. It's showing him as the everyman too. Where I do struggle with this, but at the end of the day, I go full circle, and it ends with you.
And as humans, we falter. And this is how we do not falter.
Because we're so quick to just give up and just be like, why God, why have you
that's why
forsaken
poetry
me?
moves us, though. It's that human element. I mean, this is the word of God, but it's looking at it, humanity
Right. It's
through the
through the
spiritual
lens
yeah.
through the lens of a person.
Yeah.
Right. I think the part in this psalm where it says, "I am so troubled that I cannot speak." That one, like when I read it, man, it hit me so hard because there's so many times in my life, especially even more so recently, where it's like, if I'm going through something or I'm going through a valley, I'm just not even talking. Like, I just don't want to talk.
You just shut
Like,
down.
I just shut down.
Exactly.
And it's like, I don't even want to talk about anything. I just want to keep my mouth shut. It's almost, for me, it's almost like it's a chore to even speak about anything. Like, I just don't even want to talk. Like, it's so when I was reading this, to do like a little bit of studying and getting familiar with it, man, it like hit me in my feels, you know. It was like,
It's a good one, and I felt drawn to it, and in looking for something to send to my friend who was having a hard time with something, I was like, this can't be right. Like I didn't step back and like, okay, hold on, it's like making a commercial. We're doing the problem, and here's the solution. We feel this way. Don't forget about God. Our God is the God who parted the sea.
right.
He delivered his people.
I also think for for something like that, sometimes you might get something like that, a word from God, or a verse for a friend, or a word for God for a friend, or whatever. And sometimes, even though maybe in the moment you don't understand why it means what it means or what it means, you sometimes just got to go by faith and just be like, this is what it was. You don't know how that might affect somebody. You might think it's just, oh, this is just a silly like Bible verse or something. Like, it doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't even really say anything important.
Yeah.
But you don't know how that Bible verse might have correlated in their life at some point.
That's
right.
true.
So it's so important to just act willingly on
Yeah,
God's
don't-
will.
yeah,
It's put on your heart.
Don't block it with
don't
your
block it
understanding.
with your understanding. As high as the heavens are above the earth, so is God's understanding above yours, right? So don't get caught up in what you think. Just
You're
be
right.
like, okay, this is what I need to do. I'm doing it.
And I messed that up a little bit. I didn't give it to him till much after I found it.
It's okay.
I'll let it go.
I
this
learned.
time.
We'll let it go.
I learned. I learned.
Well, here I have a question for you. So, just because I don't have your version in front
Sure.
of me, did yours have the word Selah in between the verses as well, or is that admitted out?
No, not on this one. But I know what you're referring to.
Okay,
Yours does for Psalm
Yeah.
77.
Yeah, so that's why I was curious, because when you're reading it, I didn't hear. I'm like, do we not say the word? Do we not? So I looked. Do you know what the word means? I looked that up.
No.
So I looked up Selah. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's Selah, Selah. But it's basically a musical pause to give time for pause, obviously, and reflection. So it's almost like every time there's that thing. So like you read that little verse.
So
and
then you shouldn't read it. You
Yeah, you
should just
shouldn't.
probably just
you read it, you pause,
dramatic pause.
and then it gives you time to absorb that material, absorb whatever's saying there, because that's like a poignant part, right?
Yeah.
And then,
I think I came across it while researching.
It's like the opposite of rap.
Oh.
Instead of saying things really fast and then you're trying to retain it, it's you say a couple lines and then let's actually understand it.
Well, I'm not very musically literate, but if I'm not mistaken, there is a pause note when writing music or whatever.
yeah. A rest
Oh yeah, that thing.
Okay.
See, yeah,
whatever.
or whatever.
I mean, sorry to my music teachers, but
Imagine
I
like
just did not get
Beethoven,
it.
Beethoven start writing his classical piece and like, quarter note, whatever. And,
So who's next?
I guess I'm next. 'Cause I
Okay.
think that's what we talked
Is that what we
about.
said? Okay, so it's
either one.
this is 4.
This is Psalm 4. Sorry, hold on. Let me get a drink. My
Yeah,
throat's
yeah.
really dry.
And so Psalm 4. Lance is going to tell us which version he's going to be reading from.
New King James.
New King James.
Sorry. So Psalm 4. Hear me when I call, O God of my righteousness. You have relieved me in my distress. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. How long, O you sons of men, will you turn my glory to shame? How long will you love worthlessness and seek falsehood? but know that the Lord has set apart for himself him who is godly. The Lord will hear when I call to him. Be angry and do not sin. Meditate within your heart on your bed and be still. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord. There are many who say, who will show us any good? Lord, lift up your light of your countenance upon us. You have put gladness in my heart, more than in the season that their grain and wine increased. I will lie down both in peace and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety.
Wow.
So that one, like, I read this when I was, I found this a few months before we were ever doing this podcast. And I was kind of just going through the Bible and I was like, I need a psalm. I need something for my heart. I need something that's really going to kind of stir up something inside me. And this is the one I found, which kind of actually made me, give the suggestion for the podcast. Like, hey, maybe a psalm would be good because that's kind of something that I was going through. But when I broke this down, so, the beginning of it, it's very similar to kind of yours, right? It's like he's calling out to God, and then he's asking kind of, what's going on? How long are these people going to turn my glory to shame, right? He's in distress. And then he's talking about the world, right? So, and I think it's very similar to kind of what we're going through today, just as society, right? You have relieved me my distress, right? And how long will you love worthlessness and seek falsehoods? I mean, how much does that summarize the world today?
So, since you're there in the NIV version,
okay,
how long will you love delusions and seek false gods? I mean, it's the same.
It's very similar, yeah.
But it's just.
But that's also almost very end timesy, right? Because in Revelations, the delusion, they will believe
Well, that's the verse actually marked here was number 2. The how long will you people turn my glory into shame? So to me, it's like it's society persecuting Christians, like our glory, because it's happening today. I mean, look at what's going on in Nigeria and just the current mainstream society. Like they look down upon Christians. Like they're like, oh, they don't care if you're Muslim or an atheist or whatever, but you're a Christian. Like, oh, don't bring that around me.
We got to be inclusive.
They're inclusive to everything but Christians. And like that's the thing they talk down about. That's the thing like that they make you try to feel shame for, right? But like so then we're saying like, how long will you love delusions and seek false gods? Like you can name so many delusions and false gods with the mainstream society of today.
Well, I can see, so you said like in his, with the crying out, like I see it as a different type of crying out. Like this is a crying out in anger, but a justified anger because of the ungodliness that was around him at that time.
Because it says be angry.
Yeah, it says be angry, but do not sin. So like you have to be careful in your anger to the part that it doesn't lead you to sinning. Mm-hmm. And it's such a great psalm that even, Paul quoted it in Ephesians 4:26, saying the exact basically taken from verses 4 through 5. Okay. Be angry and do not sin. He actually quotes that. Bifocals. Because it says, "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath, nor give place to the devil. Let him who stole steal no longer, but rather let him labor, working with his hands what is good, that he may have something to give him who has need."
I think there's something comforting about that in an odd way, because I think sometimes when we get angry about something, you might automatically think it's a bad thing, but you just got to recognize that difference between a righteous anger, as long as it's not leading you to sin.
And then
you're
also
still in control.
your reaction to the anger.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you're getting angry, but then you're like lashing out at them and not being, the salt and the light of the earth, right? Yep. And I think that is like the key part, because I think sometimes we get angry, and like you said, it might be like righteous, like you have every right to be angry about it, but then we get angry with ourselves that we even got angry, and it's like, well, sometimes that feeling is okay. It's just your reaction and how you control that anger is another story.
So it's oddly comforting.
Well, and then the way he's, yelling out, and even with the one on yours, like to cry out and to yell out is powerful in a sense, because, you could be like, dear God, thank you for, this, and I'm just feeling down. But like, if you're just like calling to attention, like there's importance behind it. There's like, you're crying out to God, meaning like, I don't care who hears me. I want to scream so loud that I know he'll hear me, even though he will hear us in the quietest times. But
Right.
to have that actual act of yelling out or crying out.
And I love that, right after he kind of, talks about, seeking the falsehoods, right after that, he says, but know that the Lord has set apart for himself, him who is godly. The Lord will hear when I call to him. Like the faith that he has, like the confidence that he has, and like, it doesn't matter because I'm the truth. Like I know the truth, and what I say, God will listen and he will do what's right. I think that's like, it's such a motivating part of the Psalm that really I loved.
Yeah, I had that written down as well.
And honestly, the one of the reasons why I was even looking for a Psalm was in the end, what I was actually looking for was, I will both lie down in peace and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. And the reason for that is, and I'm sure I have never done well sleeping my entire life. I never can stay asleep. I can never go asleep. I struggle at night, just staying asleep. Anything that like little bumps in the night wake me up. So I was like, it was just kind of put in my, like, why am I, I feel like I'm more so doing it because I'm too worried instead of just having faith. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where my mind went, where it was like, no, I should just have faith in God because I dwell in his safety. Right.
Mm.
And it's just like a different aspect, even though I've always had faith in other things, in just letting go and letting God and just being like, everything's gonna be okay. I didn't even realize till now, I'm, in my 30s, that, oh, well, maybe at night I should also, just relax and calm down and not be so, like, I should dwell in his safety, right? Because that's, if I'm going to pray about it, then there's no difference of me praying about it and going to sleep and just relaxing than any other part of my life that I do that.
Mm-hmm. And even God rested.
Yes. Even God
rest is important.
That was the most, yep, you're right.
It might sound cliche, it might sound, whatever, like, it's okay to rest.
Yeah. And then, so the last little piece I want to touch on, don't want to take up too much of the entire time, but, it says, there are many who say, who will show us any good? Lord, lift up the light of your countenance upon us. You have put gladness in my heart, more than in the season that their grain and wine increase. So I love the little last part about the gladness in my heart, more than the season that their grain and wine increase. So you have put more gladness in my heart than when I had all these things, right? Mm. So it's about, not kind of being consumed with like the materialism, or it's great to have like all these grains and all this wine and all this stuff, but you've put more gladness in my heart than even when I had all those riches.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's just another good aspect for this.
No, it's great. My favorite thing was the society part, because it just feels like right now, and perhaps many generations have felt that sort of relation to that, but it just doesn't make it any less true.
Mm-hmm. The Bible transcends time.
That's right. What was your Psalm number?
61.
61. I don't know why I thought it was a different number.
Do you think it was 67?
No. Gosh.
All right. Anyways, so
sorry.
Hear my cry, O God. Attend to my prayer. From the end of the earth I will cry to you. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. For you have been a shelter for me, a strong tower from the enemy. I will abide in your tabernacle forever. I will trust in the shelter of your wings. For you, O God, have heard my vows. You have given me the heritage of those who fear your name. You will prolong the king's life, his years as many generations. He shall abide before God forever. O prepare mercy and truth, which may preserve him. So I will sing praise to your name forever, that I may daily perform my vows. And that's the New King James Version. So basically, the overall kind of thing with this is hope and help when my heart is overwhelmed. So a couple of things, like one of the things is he's talking about the rock, to lead me to the rock that is higher than I, and Bible references like things like rock formations. They would sometimes seek for safety in caves. Like, for instance, in like 1 Samuel 13:6, the Israelites, they hid in caves to hide from the Philistines. And Psalm 18:2 refers to God as my rock in whom I take refuge. So also meaning like a foundation. So building up in that. Am I going too fast on all this?
No.
I don't know if I can give you guys a chance to. So basically, lift me up higher than, this is my words because I can't write. Lift me up higher than I to a place of safety, refuge. Some say he may mean Jerusalem or simply asking to be closer to God. So it could be one or two things when he's saying lift me up higher. My overall thought on this is it teaches me to rely on God in all times of trouble and to remember to thank him for honoring my prayers as well as responding to my needs.
The one that really stood out for me was, so I'm going to read the verse before it. I long to dwell in your tent forever and take refuge in the shelter of your wings. For you, God, have heard my vows. You have given me the heritage of those who fear your name. Okay, so the fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding, right? So you have given me the heritage of those who, and like, it just, the way it stood out to me, it just so powerful. I don't even know if I can.
Like how it's written. You mean just like how it's written? Like how it just like.
You have given me the heritage of those who fear your name. Like just the fact that you can even claim any sort of relation to these people, and you know, since the fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding, like, you know, it's the truth behind that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this might be a little bit of a stretch, but just with, you know, with the love, the heritage, the vows, I almost felt like, because, you know, like the covenant with God is often, you know, compared to like marriage, you know, like the bridegroom, like that's the one thing, like a relationship with God is like, that's the only comparison that we have really received. So I just thought some of that language is, I mean, I know this is English, but it was just kind of interesting because it almost feels similar to that in a way. Like I felt like it was a bit of a callback to that in a way. I mean, that's why marriage is so special. It's not the word I'm looking for. I'm looking for a better word for that. I can't. It's losing me, or I lost it. Sacred. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Sacred.
Okay. So there are 8 things that I kind of pulled from like what Psalm 61's kind of telling us is, so we can cry out to God and he hears us. So that's, you know, verse 1. Verse 2, he's always available. He's a protector. There's a desire to be in his presence. He notices us. He hears our prayer, and then also praising him in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the last part, so ends of the earth. So being far from God's presence in a time of need. So one thing I was kind of looking up, and it was kind of going down a rabbit hole of kind of like when could this psalm have been written, around kind of what time, and some of them were saying it was during when he was fleeing from Absalom, during when there was the coup with his son trying to usurp him as king, and so he had to flee the ark and they had to run from him, and that might be where he's talking about like seeking refuge. And so like by saying crying from afar, it could be an actual literal distance from being away from like the tabernacle and things like that. And then also kind of reading it and seeing like the story behind it kind of like shook me a little bit to where like, is the psalm something else, or is it kind of like, I don't know, like, so what is it? So the story with Absalom about killing his brother Amnon, are you guys familiar with that story a little bit?
Maybe, I mean, not off the top of my head though.
So it took place in so he's fleeing from Absalom, like 2 Samuel, but during 2 Samuel like 14 1 through 5, what happened was he had 2 sons and a daughter, and what ended up happening was one of the sons ended up lying with her, and David did nothing, and so that made Absalom upset, and he killed his brother over it, because Deuteronomy is saying like if someone's basically and things like that, that you should, and the own king either ignored it or did nothing, and so that kind of helped start the coup, is like saying he's unfit to be king. And so like one of my thoughts was, when there's a song, is it becoming more centralized around David, or like how would Tamar like feel listening to the psalm, going like, knowing like kind of what happened, but like you wouldn't be doing this and running from if you would have done something to begin with. It's a little deeper cut.
Yeah.
But as far as not taking on the message of the psalm is the same, but I'm almost thinking of like around the time it was made, and like maybe her hearing that song, and so
well, it brings a lot more too when he says my heart is overwhelmed.
Right. So
Right.
it's like it's like I should have.
Right, like he was like I didn't know what I did. Maybe he was like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know why I didn't do it, and then now he's just overwhelmed. Like there was so much going on.
Well, he had problems with infidelity to begin with.
Right.
Like
so
it's
just like there was just probably so much building at that point. So I think that adds a little more deeper meaning to the overwhelmed, because I mean all of us know what being overwhelmed is. We all have been overwhelmed at some point in our lives, but
so it's like so is it heard as a center of Daniel's prayer as he ran, making himself the victim, praying for his life, and thrown at risk due to his actions, or rather his inaction during the time, kind of like what you're talking about. So it was just some kind of little tidbit, like, and just kind of seeing like when these are written, like what's going on with his kingdom and his throne. And it was like seeing at his time, which it makes sense with the psalm, like he's crying out, he's, needs help and seeking refuge and things like that, as far as like when it's kind of happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other comments before we wrap this up?
No, I think that's good.
I mean, I did have like
Share it.
one small little comment.
Okay.
Do it.
I just thought it was kind of interesting, because while I was going through, and I reread mine like over and over and over. Probably read it like 100 times at this point, just trying to make sure I'm getting it right, like what parts. Because like we talked about before, it goes from he's crying out, now he's like, for mine it was like he's now upset with society, and now he's it's kind of bouncing around. But then when I was reading the beginning, after like the 100th time, I saw that it talks about in the beginning, it talks about he's praying. He says, "Hear me when I call, O God, my righteousness." And it kind of just sparked something in my head, because it's kind of like it's read like a prayer, right? Because it's kind of praying. But it popped in my head, Matthew 6:9 through 13, the Lord's Prayer, right? And I was going through it. It's very similar, and I think a lot of the Psalms are about how Jesus tells you how to pray. The first thing you do, Our Father who art in heaven. In the beginning, he's saying, "Hear me when I call, O God, my righteousness." Right? And then it goes down to the next thing, like, right? So how long will you love worthlessness and seek falsehood? Right? Your kingdom come, your will be done, right? The Lord has set apart himself, him who is godly, and the Lord will hear when I call to him, which is your will be done. Be angry and do not sin. Meditate with your heart on your bed and be still, right? But that's, forgive us for our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. I just thought the similarities in that, like how he's saying it, and then
Mhm.
and how like the Lord's Prayer is. It's so cool to see like how he's doing it is just very similar to the Lord's Prayer. And then obviously this is way before, you know, when Jesus did the Lord's Prayer, which is how he's just teaching you, hey, this is kind of how you should pray.
Yeah.
But it's also there's also great examples in Psalms like of how to pray, right? So I just thought that was cool that there was so much to that when I was digging into it, to see that, you know, give us our daily bread, you know, who will show us any good? You have put gladness in my heart more than in the season that the grain and the wine increase and stuff like that. So there's a lot of like references kind of, I think.
It's almost
To-
like it's
to it.
divinely inspired.
Almost.
Well, I think it makes a great challenge for all of us, especially when you're trying to find time to pray. A lot of times a prayer gets so regurgitated because you end up saying the same things over and over again. Sometimes it's good to mix it up. Throw on a psalm, just kind of read through a psalm. And obviously a lot of stuff in the Psalms is a lot of the same stuff we're going through, or you can relate to, as we kind of saw with the crying out, you know, be my fortress, be my refuge, be, you know, may I be lifted up, to, it could help us in a prayer, at least get a starting point. When you start off by reading a psalm, like I challenge you to start off by reading a psalm and then see where that takes you, because then it opens other doors and other thoughts and things you might not have been thinking about that you can bring to the Lord's table, and that he can.
And not only that, but also, you know, sometimes we also get so caught up in our needs,
Right.
and not necessarily the needs of the others or the needs of the nation
When
or the needs of the world. Like pray for your local politicians, or pray for, you know, the president, or pray for, no matter what you feel in any way, right? Just, you should be praying for everybody.
What does
Like,
David,
don't forget about that.
what does David do at the end, right? He is praising God. How many times do we go to pray and we just praying like you said, like a laundry list of things we need or want, or things we're suffering from, rather than praising him for all the things we do have and the things he is taking care of? Like, just to end it with praise, and on that high note and that positive note ends that prayer in a good way.
You know, and obviously, like, you know, all of the word speaks to us, right? I mean, there's no contesting that. And so maybe if you're the kind of person who doesn't read Psalms too often, like maybe like poetry hasn't been your thing. Like, I mean, there's a reason people write poetry and read poetry. Like, poetry moves us, poetry speaks to us. And like I said, you know, the word of God always speaks to us, but you know, you need to read it as poetry. Like, it may not be a narrative, but like if you start digesting it as poetry, like you can, the human condition is there, and it moves us. And just as we laid it out, that's how you should be absorbing it.
Right.
You know,
Have you ever tried singing it?
you do not want me to.
Well, I didn't say I wanted you to. I just said if you tried. Like, I mean, just
I have kind of tried, like, in my mind,
yeah,
but
it never works
I
out
also,
for me. But,
like Blade, have zero ability to understand music or sing. Like, I love don't get me wrong, I
Comprehend,
love
interpret.
worship music, I love music. I think we already talked about this, but as far as like understanding it or being able to create it, no, that's just not me.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the few things I can say I'm pretty awful at.
Any other comments before we wrap this up?
no, I think we're good to go.
And for all of you listeners, you know, what did you get out of any of our Psalms? You know, comment below on YouTube. Let us know. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What was your favorite Psalm? And if you have other Psalms you'd like us to read, and maybe we'll do another Psalm study episode, comment those below as well.
And then maybe, do you want us to try to get Blade to sing one of these songs?
Absolutely not. That will not happen. I'm telling you that right now. If you do like the podcast, you know, don't forget to follow us on those social medias, because it helps us to grow, and it grants us more opportunities. If you're not following us on YouTube yet, we're trying to push to 500 subscribers if we're not there yet already, because we're recording this in advance. But having 500 subscribers is one of the criteria that we're pushing for. That's going to allow us more opportunities to grow. If you're interested in supporting the podcast, we have a Fourth Wall shop with t-shirts and all kinds of merchandise, mugs, and other fun stuff. You can find the link for that in the podcast description. You can also support us just by liking, sharing, subscribing. Send it to your friends. Those comments on Facebook and social media. They help with the algorithm so much. So just a few seconds to leave a comment goes a really long way.
You could even just say God bless, or
Even say God bless. Maybe you have a prayer request. We'll take a look at that and we'll say a prayer for you too. You know, anything that's on your heart.
And we might even interact with you too and comment back.
We definitely
will.
we definitely try to. On the what's it called? I almost said We Who Endure, the Would You Rather episode. I think it was episode 4, I think. Whatever episode that was.
Someone made someone gave us a few.
Yep, and so we responded. There were some good Would You Rathers on there. I think you might know that person, but thank you, person, for those Would You Rathers. Those were actually really, really good, and we'll have to try to get Lance to respond to you on there as well.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you all taking the time to listen. Tell your friends, tell your loved ones. We love you. Be safe, and God bless.